cut that out. So looks like Eve's the table. I'm going to actually look up quick because Eve started a channel, I think, from and she does a lot of streaming. I've actually played a couple of times on lunch break, and it's good. She actually went to Gen Con and did very, very well with Tarkin Blue, too. So
Yeah, hype her up. What does Eve do? Like, what kind of content? You said you've played with her locally.
yeah. So I'll get the link up there for the chat in just a second here. Um, I think I want to say she won like a Dragon Ball thing last weekend, maybe. So that's pretty cool. I know she plays a bunch of different card games. I actually have to go to the Wisconsin Discord here. Lunch TCG. Lunch TCG is the name of her channel. And take a guess at what time of day she tends to play.
You know, I bet about the same time Blonde Sabine was doing it.
That's a true statement here. So pop it here, share. Yeah, so everybody watching, feel free to give her a thing. I'll put this in restream. Lunch CCG. Yeah, we are watching the Leia match, Highlander Slay. And we have a Lake Country deck. I don't see initiative yet. I mean, I presume that they flipped. It might be that actually they're using that X token for initiative. And that
I
Jango
saw a
has it.
hand popping in from the sides. There may have been like some light conversation with the judge or something, real
Yep.
quick.
And a Guavian Enforcer. So it is the
Oh,
one
here we
drop
go.
Jango coming down. And I think that's an Alliance X Wing for Leia, which is a 2/3 Vanilla Rebel. And will he Tarkin Town the Alliance X Wing? Looks so. Looks so. And you would expect Leia to be fairly aggro.
Yep. One thing about these rebel decks, they have so many cards that want a rebel on the table on their second turn. That's so good to clear out the rebel on that very first turn.
Mm-hmm. All right. And that's blue leader, I think.
It is.
And then Guavian hits in for 2 and a restore. Does he have restore? But he doesn't have any damage up base yet, so
No.
nothing to restore.
Yes, Saboteur.
Yep.
It's Saboteur.
And Eve is going to take all of the Gorilla Soldier damage on base. So she has 8 damage on base right now. Jango yet to be hit. There is an uncontested blue leader in the space arena for Eve. I see a wing leader in her hand, a U-wing reinforcement, Luke Skywalker. Yeah, so it's a U-wing reinforcement deck. It's a little bit probably taller than a Leia Tarkentown deck. But there.
Yeah, definitely. There's a little top end in this deck for sure. Their base is almost even now. Leia starting out with 9 extra health.
Right. So goes to 10, and there's a Battlefield Marine, which is a very good unit. And a Luke Skywalker. So 2 3/3s. Well, 3/3 and a 3/2 in the ground arena for Eve. Jango has an ISB agent yet to attack, which will go to the base, taking damage to 13. And then a Guavian Enforcer and Gorilla Soldier. Gorilla Soldier is a card that really kind of changed the meta here.
Yeah, it's been a breakout card.
Early TDR from Jango. TDRing at 4, so he can get it. He can get his 6s.
Yeah, I mean 4 is when you want to start doing it generally. And I can't tell the art on this
That's
one.
Radiant 7. That's Radiant 7 is what that is, I believe. So
Uh,
she's got to put 5 indirect on, and it has a passive, right? So she puts 3 on the base and 2 on the blue
Radiant
leader.
7. Radiant costs 7.
Oh yeah, it does. Does he have a Mist Hunter in his deck? Or that could be that. That's that ship that does indirect, and if you put any damage on your unit, they tap. That's what that is. The 4-drop.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
And it's
It
a
needs to go back to hand. There we
hyperspace
go.
version, and
Good catch.
that's not in every Janko deck, so that's a little spicy.
Yeah. I'm actually checking the list right now. Like, wait, what was that?
Yeah, Kimagilla Pizza. Thanks for that. And Carlos, what's up, buddy? It's another Wisconsin player. Going strong here. We're right in the beginning of game 1. This isn't game 3 anymore. Let me update that. There's 17 damage on Eve's base, 3 damage on Jango, and both players have pretty significant board presence. We're down to just a soldier for Jango, and there's a lot of damage units for Luke or for Eve. I mean, he's looking for that Radiant 7 if he can get it. It really saves a whole ton of health right now. And
The Kamoga heavy fighter. That is an interesting choice. I haven't seen that too often.
okay, so the P-38 comes in and takes care of the blue leader, and another blue leader takes its place. Going into the ground arena, it's a versatile ambush card.
So only 3 on the Jango base. Now that Jango's deploying, you're either gonna want to kill that Jango or get a lot more damage on base. Honestly, you need them to be in check so that they have to tap your whole board.
And the two leaders deploy one after the other. Jango first, followed by Leia.
It's an interesting choice for the Leia player, especially if they have Rebel Assault in their hand. They could start their turn by attacking with 3 of their units if they claim, which they may have.
The crowd unabashedly rooting for Leia, who went to 23 damage on base, but because of Lake Country has some yet to spare. And green does have some healing, right? I mean, we could have Yalarans in this deck. You very well could have Reinforcement Walkers in this deck, as it looks a little tall.
Well, I don't see any healing in the list.
Mm-hmm.
So, unless I missed it, we'll see.
He's deciding what to do and takes initiative. Might have a out for Jango on the gun. And then you get that coveted free turn.
Right.
Fleet Lieutenant.
Fleet
Lieutenant on the blue leader would get Jango because that attacks for 5.
Yeah. And your base health is getting a little sketchy. It would be good to get some damage off Jango's board.
It needs to do some things here. So Rebel Assault, this is actually real strong in a Leia deck. So can send Leia with Rebel Assault, send another thing. So it's going to be 3 units attacking at once is how that card plays out for Leia.
And Leia... Was Leia 4 power with Raid 1? Or was it?
I think she's 3 power with Raid 1.
3 power with Raid 1.
So with Rebel Assault hits for 5. Okay, so Luke goes in.
3 power Raid 1.
To Jango.
Yeah, 2 things will have to attack Jango to clear it, if that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
Can't get 7 in 1 attack here.
Right. Now with Rebel Assault, it's going to have to take two units. So blue leader is going to go to base and do 6. Leia is going to go into Jango for 4, and I think she's going to send Luke in with Leia's ability for 3. So doing some good math.
Yeah, finish it off.
Yeah, and actually Leia would have been 5 because she would have been actually the second unit targeted by Rebel Assault. She sends her brother into Jango Fett's face, and he loses his head.
Does she know that it's her brother?
I don't know. I mean, it depends if they kissed yet or not. Because that's a little creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
That's how they find out. Okay, 4 more resources. What are we gonna do with it? I mean, you're still at 23 on base, and there's still 3 power that hasn't attacked. Not in a great spot here.
Right. So R2, pilot for free, is going on to blue leader, and she corrects the resources. The P38 hits for 3, taking her to 26 damage on base. Jango has used 3 resources, has 3 more left, has already seen 1 TDR.
She can hit for 8 with Fleet Lieutenant, which puts it 17. You're still looking for another 8 damage. I'm having trouble finding that math, but let's see.
Yeah, so the blue leader has a 6 attack. She needs to do, 16 to kill him?
Yeah.
Let's see what Eve has up her sleeves. I think I see a Rebel Assault in her hand, which is always good news into Jango.
I can see just like the end of her sleeve. I don't see anything in it.
There's aces in there. You never know.
Could be.
All right, so she considers a move. Went up to 7. Both players did.
She may be thinking about her sideboard. Sometimes I'll pick up my opponent's discard pile at this point in the game too. I'm like, let me remind myself everything that you played before we go to our boards.
All right, so it is U-Wing Reinforcement. I think it has to play trying to find something to control the space arena.
There's Bright Hopes.
Bright Hopes.
So that could be one of the cards that we're looking for.
That was easy. So Bright Hope and Wing Leader putting a big chunky Sentinel in the way.
There you go.
Let's see what she does with the Wing Leader, though. I mean, it's not necessarily Bright Hope as the option, but I think she has to. I think she has to put the experience there to survive. Because otherwise it only has 6 health, and it dies to the 2 P38s.
Some Jango lists have a couple, like 1 or 2 waylays. I don't see one in this list.
Yep. So waylay is what Jango needs right now. Each P38 can essentially do 4 damage. So I think that Bright Hope can block those 2. Here comes a TDR, which is not what Eve wants to see. What is going to hit with TDR? Rarely whiffs. Occasionally does. It is a Devastator.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. That can just clear the way for all the rest of those space units.
Right. And tap.
And that'll do it.
And tap down. Okay, so game 1
goes
to Jango. So what are you thinking for sideboards? You know, first off, I'll put you on the Leia. I mean, what are your thoughts, if anything? I mean, I think that the deck might be set for Jango already.
Which is kind of the theme here. Like, decks might have 1 electromagnetic pulse in the main, 1 on the board. Like, you might split a little bit of your solutions to Jango, but most of it's going to be in the main deck.
Yep.
She does have Take Captive in the sideboard. Could be interesting there. And then Tantive 4, if my Roman numerals are correct, is a big Space Sentinel.
Yeah,
and we just saw there's no waylays.
Yep, and that absolutely could be, coming in, particularly if she gets the sense of it.
Yeah.
As to
it's also Admiral Yularen, if you want to put Sentinel on all your space units. You could do that.
He's blue, I think. I mean, so it would be out of aspect, for her.
Yes, I'm thinking of the wrong Yularen. The Yularen she has is the 2/5 restore 1 that makes all your units tougher.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 3 Yularens, actually, which is interesting. And 2 of them are heroic, so.
I'm not sure. I think she'll bring in the Tantives. I'm not sure about the rest yet. It's going to be interesting to see her choices there.
Yep, and I think that the Jango, I mean, if they have on the doorstep, that's a good card in Leia with all the ground units. Yeah. Getting those. I mean, and might bring in Force Choke if they have it too, which is in decks to get Han. But I mean, the times Leia wins this match is because she floods the ground and is able to attack with a lot of action economy. So anything that is hate for ground
Yep.
units, I think, is what they are. But as we see, there's some good space. I mean, Blue Leader played well last match. I think she played two of them, and we'll see what happens here. The other thing that happens is Eve will have initiative, which is a big thing for a aggro deck early on.
Yep. Let's see.
Carlos, Elar and Armor win. That's a good question. I'm still waiting for Cad Bane's hat, too. All right, so we have double space start. We have an Alliance X-Wing, which is the 2/3 vanilla, played by Eve, and I believe that's a Zygerian Starhopper, the when defeated indirect unit for Jango.
This is also where we get to see the player's arena preference,
Right,
where we swapped arenas this game because someone else started us off, right? I believe.
right. But, I mean, here we show with the initiative. I mean, we have the Fleet Lieutenant coming in and doing 4 damage to base right away. And
Yep.
Eve will have initiative next round, unless Matt wants to do absolutely nothing. And he doesn't. He wants to play there, and he plays a P-38. So he doesn't have the Guerrilla Soldier, this time. And he Tarkin Towns.
Tarkin Town.
All right, so the rare base is used by Jango. 4 damage on it. Eve has 2 damage on her 34 health base. But there's a more significant space presence by the Jango deck with both a P-38 and a Zygerian. Another Fleet Lieutenant, another 4 to base, I imagine.
Yeah, still a much better start for Eve. Just having a rebel on the table at the start of her turns. It's a big deal for her.
Mm-hmm. And still has resource left. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if anything can, be accomplished there. Matt is weighing his options. When you're playing against a deck like this, I mean, I'm sure that you prepared for Han, and Quinlan. Probably not for Leia Lake Country. So, you got to have some kind of thought going on.
Right. So
right.
that can be a situation where the player doesn't have as much experience knowing when to trade units, when to clear the opponent's board, because they haven't played those games out a lot.
Yeah. And we got Mr. Falafel himself in the chat, one of your Luke Green players at Bothan, and he says, did not expect Leia on a lake. Yeah, Leia on a lake was not on my business card, my bingo card for the sector today, but, I do know that Eve is a great deck builder and, a great player, so, and she's 3-0. So let's go. Leia on a lake.
I think Padme on a lake would be relatively expected. Just hanging out with Anakin, maybe.
I mean, she might name kings. She might hand out swords. And, go the old way. All right, so Rebel Assault leads out the Leia flip turn. And now we're in the danger zone.
Let's see if such a better game for Eve. Mm-hmm. Putting this much damage on base means she's going to be able to better leverage her late country, all that extra health she has, to just push units into Jango's base.
Absolutely. And, I mean, that actually represented a total of, 3 from the X-Wing and 4 from the Fleet Lieutenant for 7 damage. And Jango is 10 health from dead. And as soon as you can put Jango in check, if you know what I mean, where that's what you need to do. Aggressive decks into Jango, that's what Quinlan has to do. I mean, what you end up doing is you want to get him so that he, is lethal with an action, so he can only do one thing in claim. Right? Because you play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. I have my podcast across the network, and we meant to talk about how do you beat Jango this week. We had Phil on for an hour and a half and just didn't get to it. But we're playing unless they ban him or something.
Ooh.
I don't think so.
And that is a great card right now, is a Bright Hope Drops down by Eve. Bright Hope was going to be a sentinel in the space arena. Jango's only got 3 left. No waylays available. So,
Keeping her fleet lieutenant on the table,
Yep.
choosing not to bounce it.
So a surprise strike will clear the Bright Hope, but that still saves 6 damage.
Yeah, another piece of this is that Eve has used all her actions, and it's very easy for her to grab that initiative.
And she does. So in Leia, it's not quite Rebel Assault for lethal, and I think that Jango has to go to control mode. I mean, probably has to kill that X-Wing with
Yeah.
P-38.
They're recognizing, okay,
Yep.
hold on a second. We need to clear this board.
Yep, so good play by Matt. I mean, recognizing that, this is not the game where I'm pushing damage. This is the game where my opponent has pushed a lot of damage. Still needs to do 22 damage to base, whereas Eve needs to do 10.
Yeah. It was a good turn to make that pivot too, I think, because he had the 3-2 that could just clear the X-Wing in one action. Whereas before it was kind of awkward trying to run the 2-3 into it in 2 turns in a row, giving up 4 damage.
All right, so here we go. Chewbacca into the ground arena. So making a power play there.
Wait, did Leia attack? Oh, no good to me dead was played on the Leia.
Leia was no good to me dead, which was a good include and a good call, there. So probably Leia won't make it to the next round, assuming Jango stays in control mode.
Yeah, because this is another example of like how this Leia deck can retain the initiative is playing on curve. Once you've spent your early turns deploying as much as you can, and then spending these later turns playing on curve, you get to just keep retaining the initiative.
Right. But Chewbacca hits for 4 as a unit? 5 as a unit.
I think he's a 5/6.
5/6. So, that's a lot. He plays a War Juggernaut from hand, which is going to do damage. There's 2 damage on Leia. There's 1 damage on Chewbacca, both from the War Juggernaut. It's +4 right now, so it would have 7 attack. He hits the War Juggernaut itself too. So Matt says, hey, if you want to kill my War Juggernaut with your Chewbacca, I'll take the damage savings to base.
Well, he still can't without like Rebel Assault or something, because it has 6 health remaining.
Right. So Jango attacks into Leia, and certainly the Stormtrooper is going to clear her. And there's a when defeated as well. So that's the indirect Stormtrooper, so it should do 1 indirect on attack and 1 when defeated. Now, Chewbacca is a rebel, so, I mean, Fleet can hit him.
Okay.
So
You got did you try the refresh button?
I can try the refresh button, but let me do that quick.
There we go. Look, see how hard we're trying to get this right?
Right.
We're learning. All right, so we have initiative. Attacking with Chewie puts them in check to Chewbacca, but is she in check? How much damage is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8.
So there's 17 on Eve's base. There's 15 on Jango's base. So
and how much power does Eve have?
What do you mean power? Chewbacca's out, which is a 5/6 in the ground.
17. Well, I mean, like, how much is she threatening? 17 is the answer, which is 34. 17 plus 17 is 34. So if Leia does nothing this turn, does not interact with Jango's board, the Leia player is going to die this turn.
Right.
So
Stowicki says, I need you to
the
make
attack
top 16.
to me indicates we got something.
Yeah, I think that I think that Eve will make top 16, but to the extent she doesn't, check out Lunch TCG, which is a channel that she has, and friendly when she's doing it. This is game 2 of the 3-game set. We have Jango taking the first game. Leia has done a ton of damage, has 20 damage to Jango's base, and needs to find 5 more somewhere before dying. There's 20 damage.
I think it's going to be a U-Wing and Hope.
Uh-huh. All right, so I see a home 1 in there too. It's not time for that yet, but
yeah, almost.
This is a cool deck. I'm glad we got to see this.
Yeah, I may not get to see 3 games of it.
You have little faith, Jonathan.
She has a ground sentinel at least, so unless there might be a TDR that just finishes the game, but there's a chance.
As Jim Carrey says, you're saying there's a chance. I don't think she there's a Riken in her hand too, which give himself or another unit sentinel.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at, and that she's also has it moved to the front. But I think she's like, this isn't terribly exciting. Is there really no other option? And yeah, that's her only option.
Right. And then, I think it comes down to whether there's TDR or sneak attack. And then,
yeah,
if so, what they hit for Jango, because it's going to be tough to take care of both Chewbacca and Riken in the ground arena for Jango.
It is cool that she put the Sentinel on Chewbacca.
Yep.
Because she doesn't know if they have waylays, but even if they do, now it's not an option.
And this one does not have grit. This Chewbacca does not have grit, but would rather have the Riken because he can do his thing on attack too, right? Where he gives a unit sentinel.
Right.
And Riken is lethal. Both units are lethal if they can attack. So now, can Matt find the way out of this with the boogeyman of the format, Jango Fett? He has...
Yeah, if they don't have a triple dark raid or something, are they forced to claim? Yes, they are.
They are. They're forced to claim to see if he can pull something to tap down both units. So Leia has Jango on the ropes here, folks.
Look at me over here doubting her. But let's see, though. It's not over.
And if there's just to the extent there's a home one round 2, that could be coming down here shortly. We're to 8.
There's the multi-tap.
Okay, there it is. But
we don't have Sentinel now.
Right.
So what is she going to do?
Riken needs to attack to do that.
We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still have 17. Still have lethal.
Yeah, I see a Leia Organa Rebel Assault in one other card in Eve's hand, and that is not a good hand for what you need right now.
I don't think this is enough.
Needs a Bright Hope at a minimum.
It was a nice effort, like putting it on the Jango deck to have it. But that's why this deck is so good now. There are so many ways to tap the whole board in these Jango configurations.
That's exactly what it is. And Jango was sitting there with 1 health left. There just wasn't a way to kill it. Just not a way to kill it. Chris says, needing your units to attack Becker Blender. Jango is very, very good. There's no question about that. We'll see what happens here. But, Matt Freed, if you're at a big event like this, you play the deck with the best chance to win. That's what you do.